Over 6 years had passed since the original Life is Strange came out, and in my opinion, over 6 years had passed since the last good one came out. Now that's obviously down to personal opinion, but I felt disappointed by Before the Storm, and I had heard so much negativity around LIS2, and I'd seen a certain amount of the game myself when it came out. I was watching like Jacksepticeye's Let's Play of it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the look of it. A lot of people just didn't enjoy Life is Strange 2. So the franchise went sort of dormant for a fair amount of years. I think it was about 3 years between LIS2 and this one, True Colors. Now, True Colors is a game that I knew had done pretty decently well, but I was not really super interested into it. I knew nothing about it, and I made sure I knew nothing about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll get this eventually. Now, this came in like 2021 when I was expecting to get a PS5 at like Christmas or the next year. Fast forward to now, I still don't have a PS5, and I still plan to get True Colors for the PS5, but my playthrough of True Colors is based on the PS4 version, thanks to PlayStation Plus. So if you've been around on the channel, you would know that recently me and my cousin, whose channel is called Rai Rai, I'll leave his channel in the description below, we recently replayed Life is Strange 1, and he replayed Before the Storm with me, who, well, I'd never played it. So Before the Storm, that playthrough was probably my first reaction of it, and probably the only time I will play that game. Maybe I'll play the remastered eventually, but I'm not too interested in Before the Storm. I thought it was yeah, I thought it was I'm going to be honest. If it wasn't for Arcadia Bay, if it wasn't for the characters like Chloe and Rachel, and certain scenes, I really wouldn't care about Before the Storm. But yeah, True Colors. What can I say about True Colors? I think I'm going to come out with my statement right off of the bat. I mean, you could already tell by the title, but I think Life is Strange True Colors is perfect. Why do I think that? Because it takes the foundation that the first game set out and builds on it the way a sequel should have. This is, to me, the true Life is Strange 2. This is what Life is Strange 2 should have been. And quite simply, it was really simple to do, you know? True Colors, when you play the game, especially when you reach the final episode, it's structured quite similarly to the first game, and I'm talking mostly about the final episode, the final chapter. That's another thing with True Colors. True Colors does away with the old format where you had to buy each episode, you know, differently. So, yeah, you were paying money for each one. Obviously, you don't really have to do that now. You can buy the full versions of each game. But back then, yeah, you had to buy them individually. You don't have to spend extra money. You pay the money up front like you would any other game, and that's it. You own the whole thing. So, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. I will spoil what needs to be spoiled to embellish how this is the true sequel in terms of a development aspect, in terms of a gameplay perspective. The issue with LIS2 was that it kind of became a little too political, if I remember rightly. True Colors does away with this. Yes, it's still like hippie shit, you know? It's still very hipster focused, but it's done in a way just like LIS1 was, you know? Like, yeah, some of these characters are gay, lesbian, you know, complete fucking hipsters, but it's not the main focus, you know? I think one of the first things is that we're not playing as a teenager anymore. Alex Chen is the character we play as, and to my understanding, she's in her early 20s. She has basically spent the vast majority of her life or at least the past decade, she's been living up until True Colors as an orphan. She's been living as an orphan, and basically True Colors, she comes into this town that you can see here called Haven Springs to reunite with her brother Gabe Chen, who's a great character, by the way. But yeah, I don't want to get into many spoilers, but he is a catalyst for a lot of Alex's developments throughout the game. We've got returning characters such as Steph Gingrich. I think that's how you pronounce her second name. She's from Before the Storm, and I really liked her character in Before the Storm, so it's really good to see her again. And honestly, I had a lot of bias for certain decisions in this game when it comes to Steph. Basically, spoilers here, Steph is one of the love interests. You can have one of two love interests in True Colors. It's not a main plot point, but it does have an impact on the ending and what you would personally imagine Alex doing next after True Colors. And obviously, I want to see Steph Gingrich get a happy ending. And honestly, when you play the game, I'm going to be honest, I think the writers definitely think Alex belongs with Steph as well, but you don't have to date Steph. You don't even have to date the other love interest. You could just reject both if you really wanted to. There's a lot of choice here. But yeah, I think what I'll do right now is just get right into, I say right into, we're like 5-10 minutes into this video now, but what I want to do is get into why I think True Colors is perfect. Now, I don't think it's a perfect game, I think it's a perfect Life is Strange game. This is exactly what we would have wanted. There are things that you wouldn't have liked in the first game that are, well, things that weren't very good in the first game, we'll say that just were done so much better here. For starters, the character building. Obviously, when it comes to Max Caulfield, if you remember in LIS1, she isn't the best developed character. A lot of the journal and texting stuff really embellishes her character a lot more. When it comes to actual cutscenes, when it comes to the gameplay, she doesn't really have a definable characteristic, you know? Just when you think you're starting to see a really consistent personality, something, she can come out with something, a really sarcastic remark completely out of left field, completely out of nowhere. And there are certain decisions that just wouldn't make sense. So, for starters, the ending decision for LIS1. Sorry if there's any spoilers, but if you're watching this video and you don't know LIS1's ending, I don't know what you're doing here, quite frankly. But sacrificing Chloe makes no sense for Max. I'm sorry, but that's facts for me, you know? Not even 10 minutes before, not even 5 minutes beforehand, Max says Chloe is all that matters to her now. So why would she just suddenly turn around and sacrifice her? You know, that just doesn't make any sense. And I think choosing to sacrifice Chloe is a very unsatisfying ending as well. It definitely feels a lot more rushed. And you don't really have a definable ending. Like, where does Max go after LIS1? You know, at least when she's with Chloe, you've got a lot more to the imagination there, and it definitely feels a lot more of a defined ending, a lot more of a definitive ending. True Colors doesn't have this issue. Whatever ending you choose, it all kind of, it still really comes together. And basically the ending decision is, does Alex stay in Haven Springs or does she go? Either way, I think it ends up being a happy ending regardless. I personally chose to leave Haven Springs with Steph, and I know Steph has her own DLC. I don't think I will get round to playing that. I've never really been a fan of prequel DLCs. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like them. Like, if I already know how the story's going to end, why would I need a prequel when I kind of already know basically the basics of what happened beforehand? But it is Steph, so I might still get it anyway, quite frankly, because I enjoyed True Colors so much. I can't tell you any other game sequel that has just been so good over a game I've been so nostalgic over my whole life. You know, I played the shit out of the LIS1 demo, and then when they released the first episode for free, I played the shit out of that multiple times just to get different decisions, to get the same decisions. I loved it so much, and I didn't get to play Life is Strange properly, the full game, until it came out on PS Plus back in 2017, where I played it on the channel. You can't find that now, not that you need to, because I've redone it since then last year, in HD, a lot better commentary, etc. Go check that out. Link in the description to LIS1 playthrough and the Before the Storm playthrough. But yeah, we needed a game like True Colors after LIS2, because LIS2 was so disappointing. It killed the franchise. I'm just gonna come out here and say that right now. In terms of hype, it killed it. It fucking killed the franchise. That is how bad LIS2 was. You could like LIS2, but quite frankly, it was not what anybody wanted out of Life is Strange. And I'm so thankful to see that True Colors understands what Life is Strange is, you know? I don't really know how to explain it right now because I'm going off the cuff, but I think I'll definitely do a whole video essay on Life is Strange at some point. Maybe when I replay through the games on PS5. But the fact of the matter is, True Colors understands what a Life is Strange game should be. And a lot of your choices in this game feel a lot more important as well. Again, they build off of a lot of stuff that were good in the first game, and they remove a lot of stuff that was bad about that game as well. So there's not really as many pointless characters at all. You're not really exploring too many new locations neither. Like, the place you spend the most time with in LIS1 is Blackwell, but even then you're only there like a couple of times throughout the game, 3 times, 4 times, you know? And it's usually the same sort of locations, really one-dimensional locations as well. Haven Springs, on the other hand, is different. It's big enough. It's the perfect size. It's sort of like a semi-open world sort of thing. If you've ever played a Yakuza game, it's kind of like that in terms of the exploration of the world. I haven't gotten into it, but Alex Chen's power is she can detect people's emotions, pretty much. She can read people's emotions, and they actually affect her, and this game focuses on her learning to control it. And that's another thing that True Colors does so much better than the first game. The first game doesn't have a learning curve for Max. You know, she basically knows how to rewind and is pretty much an expert at it right off the bat, you know, right from the gate. Whereas Alex Chen struggles with her power. She's actually had a very traumatic adolescence because of the fact she doesn't know how to control it. And I do think it's a little meh, knowing how quickly she learns to control it in this game. But I think with the certain events that do happen, it makes sense for her to know that. So one of the coolest things it does is she can detect an emotions of one of the children in the game. I think his name's Ethan. And she actually sees what he's seeing. So, for example, he's looking over a cliff, and below the cliff is actually like just a waterfall. But in his mind, there's a massive monster with a big gaping mouth ready to eat him alive. And she sees this. Alex actually sees this. And I think that's just so cool. She sees what other people are feeling, so to speak. And it's so cool. She also gains this superpower where she can take the feelings out of a person. But I did this once, and I really didn't like the repercussions, the consequences for it. Because for example, she takes the anger out of someone, and Alex becomes a lot more angry herself and lashes out. I hated that. I actually I reloaded the last section of the chapter and just redid the entire thing, quite simply because I hated it so bad. So I actually didn't end up using that power at all, you know? But it's a thing. I think it's a pointless thing. It only comes up twice, and it's really pointless to use it because you can still get a happy ending regardless. A very satisfying ending regardless. But it is what it is. I think one of the only things I was pretty sad about was that I wasn't able to rekindle a relationship that ends up being broken towards the end of the game. Now you can rekindle that, but I never really made that choice, and yeah, I do kind of regret that. But yeah, this is sort of a messy review of Life is Strange True Colors. I think I will definitely do a retrospective of Life is Strange at some point. Not a full-on retrospective, because I don't think I ever want to play Life is Strange 2. Maybe I will, but I know it will literally just be on a YouTube video on why I don't like it, because again, I kind of remember the gist of the story because I watched Let's Plays of it. But yeah, I might want to experience it for myself at some point. But yeah, I've not played Wavelengths just yet. I definitely want to do that, but I want to wait till I get a PS5 first, then I'll buy this on the PS5, and then replay it, get Wavelengths, and play that and stuff. And we will do a True Colors playthrough on the channel at some point, most likely this year with Rai, so that would be cool. But yeah, that is my review of Life is Strange True Colors. Yeah, basically it does a lot of things better than the first game, which for me was so good, but obviously it had some glaring issues that some people genuinely disliked the game for. But I think Life is Strange True Colors is better than the first game in every single way apart from the world. I do prefer Arcadia Bay over Haven Springs, but that's nothing bad about Haven Springs, and that's another thing. I do love how it sticks to one location, because one of the things about LIS is that the location is just as important, because, you know, it's got the atmosphere, basically, and LIS2 didn't have that. LIS2 was like, it was like a modern version of The Last of Us. It was like Life is Strange trying The Last of Us sort of relationship vibe, where the older one goes across the country to protect an important younger one. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it, so either way, True Colors, I loved it. I think it's perfect. I think it's better than the first game. It does 9 out of 10 things better than the first game, and we don't even need to get started on Before the Storm, because True Colors is just way better. So yeah, if you want a more in-depth review of True Colors, please let me know. I don't think I will, in terms of like doing a singular video on just this, but I think I will definitely do a video perhaps called What Life is Strange is Meant to Be, Why Life is Strange is Special, something like that. I'm definitely exploring doing different kinds of content, so yeah. But I wanted to get this little review out, get a lot of these things off my chest, because it's been a couple of weeks now since I've completed True Colors, and obviously I'm not going to play it again for quite some time, again, probably till I get a PS5, and then I'll replay it again, because this game was great. I loved it, and I cannot wait for a sequel. I think the sequel is going to have Max and Chloe again, which I would like as well. I would like to see what the writers of True Colors could do with Max and Chloe now, you know? How much better it could be, how much better that dynamic could be, you know? I think one thing I do need to say is that I genuinely think True Colors is that good of a game that it doesn't need a sequel. Like, we all want to see a Max and Chloe sequel because LIS1 was not it didn't have the most satisfying conclusion, whichever ending you picked. And if they are doing a Max and Chloe sequel, one of those endings are either going to be canonized, or it will be a story where Max goes back in time again. I would really love to see where, if Max could meet Rachel, for starters. That would be so cool. It makes me want to make a video on what I would like out of a Life is Strange 1 sequel. So, yeah, let me know if you guys want to see that. But, yeah. Basically, cutting in here to say, I don't think True Colors needs a sequel. I don't want there to be a sequel. I think it's great standing alone. I genuinely don't think we need a sequel. We don't need to see a continuation of these characters now. Maybe as a cameo in future, like maybe Max and Chloe, after they left Arcadia Bay, at some point they could meet Alex and Steph again, and Mikey as well. I feel like that could definitely be a thing. But yeah, when it comes to Alex Centric, when it comes to the True Colors storyline, I'm fine with leaving it here. I think it was perfect, as you could probably tell by the video, but I don't need a sequel for True Colors. It's genuinely that good. I don't need to see any more of this. Oh god, I'm excited about the next Life is Strange game. I wasn't excited after LIS2. I'd actually completely forgotten about the franchise. So, until the last couple of years when I obviously replayed the first game again. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say on Life is Strange True Colors. If I see any big news coming out about the next Life is Strange game, then yeah, I'll make a video on it. But yeah, till next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.